Hello, I'm Jashikins, and welcome to another episode of Jash Reads. Tonight, we will be continuing to read Animorphs number 11, The Forgotten, by K.A. Applegate. And as always, this video is not intended for kids. Instead, this video is intended for adults who are discovering or rediscovering the joy that is Animorphs. Now, I'm filming this a little later than I intended. I'm starting to like filming with sunlight. It creates a really pleasant feeling for me. But long story short, there's some medical issues going on. Nothing to be concerned about. But yeah, so I waited until now to film. And after filming today, boy, am I going to have some fun. And by fun, I mean I'm not going to talk about. Oh, jeez. But anyways, I'm keeping this intro nice and short now. I'm giving a little flare of mystery into my personal life. So now I'm going to distract myself and yourselves from reality by reading. And I'm keeping my cell phone here just in case. Whew. Okay. 4:40 p.m. I hate this kind of stuff. Marco said, I hate rushing into things. We had landed in the woods. Landing, by the way, is the hardest part of flying. Taking off is scary, but landing is terrifying. See, the difference between landing and crashing is about 2 inches and 2 miles per hour. We landed more or less gracefully on the pine needle floor of the forest. Tobias flew off to look for Axe. The rest of us demorphed. I seem to remember that the last time we rushed into something, we managed to screw up the plan, Cassie said. On the other hand, we did survive. Barely, Marco said, as he made the transition from mostly osprey to mostly human. It's just a grocery store, Rachel said with a shrug of shoulders that were just emerging. Come on, how hard can it be? How should we go in? Marco wondered, looking at me. I looked at Cassie. Any suggestions? We have a couple morphs available for this job, she said. Like Rachel said, it's a grocery store. A burned out grocery store, but a grocery store just the same. You'd expect there to be cockroaches, rats, flies. Suddenly, there came a rush of pounding hooves and a crash of underbrush. Axe raced up to us, graceful and bizarre all at once. He plowed straight toward us, moving as fast as a panicked horse. Just when I was sure he'd run us down, he kicked his hind legs and sailed easily over our heads. He landed almost daintily and turned back to face us. Axe is Eximli Escorth Isthel. He's the younger brother of Prince Elfangor. As far as we know, Axe is the only Andalite to survive the destruction of their dome ship. Andalites have certain things in common with Earth animals, but you know right off that he's from a long, long way away. His body is like a sort of strong, pale blue and tan deer. But where the deer would have a neck, Hax has a somewhat human upper body. It looks like the chest and shoulders of a boy. He has two weak looking arms and a few too many fingers. His head is where you'd expect to find it, but it is missing one very major ingredient: a mouth. Andalites eat by absorbing plants through their hollow hooves, and they communicate through thought speak. Axe has three small slits for a nose and two big almond-shaped eyes. He also has two other eyes. These are mounted on top of his head on short stalks. These two eyes can move separately in any direction. It's distracting till you get used to it. Axe may look at you with his two main eyes, or he may look at you with both stalk eyes, or one stalk eye, or a combination of his two main eyes and one stalk eye. To summarize, it's very strange making eye contact with an Andalite. And last, but definitely not least, there's the tail. It's like a scorpion's tail, cocked up so that the deadly sharp blade on the end sort of hovers above Axe's shoulder. The tail is fast. Very fast. As in, you're bleeding and wondering why you can only count to 4 on your fingers before you even see it move. Fast, accurate, and very good to have on your side of a fight. Hello, everyone, Hack said. Tobias told me to hurry. Just then, Tobias swooped low overhead and landed with utter confidence on a branch. He dug his talons into the bark and began to calmly preen his wing feathers. "Hi, Axe," I said. "What has Tobias told you?" "Everything. I guess we are going in to take a closer look." "You guessed right, Axeman," Marco said. "You have a preference for fly or cockroach morph?" "I will do whatever Prince Jake orders." "Axe, don't call me Prince Jake," I said automatically for about the for about the 1000th time. "Yes, Prince Jake," he said. Sometimes I wonder if maybe Axe has a sense of humor. We'd never noticed one, but who knows? "We have to get inside that Safeway," I said. "The closest place to morph is a long way away, clear across the street, behind that boarded up motel. No one will see us there, but then we have to get to the store, across 4 lanes of traffic." "Ouch," Marco said. "I hadn't really thought about that. Is it too late for me to change my vote?" We didn't vote, Rachel said. But if we had, you'd have voted yes. How do you know how I'd have voted? Marco demanded. Rachel smiled. Because I'd have voted yes, and you'd never let yourself look like a total wuss in front of girls. You think you know me, Marco said. Unfortunately, you're right. Neither the roach nor the fly has very good vision, Rachel pointed out. I mean, we want to be able to see whatever is in that store, right? Yeah, but we also have to get across 4 lanes of traffic. I don't know about you, but I'd rather fly over the cars than try to walk in front of them, Cassie said. Can flies even find their way that far? I wondered out loud. Remember when we used to have normal, sane conversations? Marco said. You know, we talk about baseball or who had a crush on who. Cassie gave him a wink. Then she was back to business. That grocery store must still be full of food, right? Rotting food. Since I doubt the freezers are working in there, what's better at finding rotting food than a fly? I can help guide you, maybe, Tobias said. You don't see that much better than humans do in the dark, I pointed out. It'll be dark by the time we get in position. Car lights, street lights, I'm just saying maybe I can help a little, all right? Tobias sometimes becomes frustrated because he can't go on all the missions. I understand. I feel sorry for him, but that's the way it is. I was about to tell him that when Cassie jumped in. Tobias, the only reason we even know about this is you, Cassie pointed out. You discovered it. You showed it to us. The least we can do is take the next step. Cassie is so good at fixing hurt feelings. Better than me, that's for sure. But Tobias was still grumpy. I'm still going along, he said. Okay, I said, clapping my hands together and trying to sound cheerful and optimistic. Flies it is. Everyone go home. We meet behind the motel in... I checked my watch. In approximately 3 hours, around 7:45 or so, we do a quick morph. We're in and out of that Safeway in 10 minutes and back home again. Oh man, Marco groaned. I hate it when you try to sound peppy, Jake. It always means you're worried. Next, you'll flash that big no sweat grin. I know you. 3 hours to fly time, I said, forcing up a big, confident grin. We're dead meat, Marco said. And that's it for chapter 4. Hang on one sec, just checking something, and again. And yeah. I don't know, it's like recently practicing has become a little more tough on my end. Like I always feel nowadays, the last couple of videos for dramatic readings, it's like I have very little energy when I'm practicing, but then I seem to find some like new hidden energy when I actually film. I don't know. Could be that when I'm practicing, I sometimes try the same lines like 3 or 5 different ways before I figure out how I want to read them. So that could be it, because reading the same thing about 10 or 15 times is like, oh my god, is it ever going to end? And then reading it for when I actually get to filming it, it's like, oh yeah, I don't have to worry about that. I have it all planned out, sort of. Things change here and there. And I liked how Jake in the beginning of the chapter is like, landing is the most difficult thing. It is so hard. So when, Tobias comes and Tobias makes it look easy, he's like, fuck that guy. Fuck him. I said it was hard and it was hard to do, and now suddenly this guy shows up and makes it look easy, like anyone could do it. Jake, buddy, Tobias spends all his time as a bird. He better have worked on that whole landing thing by now. So, yeah. And I feel when Cassie is suggesting that, hey, we do have these, insect morphs we could do. Those will work. And so Jake's like, oh my god, thank you, X, for just suddenly appearing so I cannot think about morphing like a fly or cockroach for a minute or two. Like, thank you. That's really why I read that part so happy, because I feel like Jake's like, thank you for the distraction. And again, I do like the interactions between Rachel and Marco. Especially, I think, God, one line I really enjoyed in this chapter. Oh, I was about to flip through chapter 5. I'm like, that's not where the quote's from. Where Marco's like, hey, can I change my vote? And Rachel's like, no, you wouldn't have voted differently because such and such. And his reply of just like, you think you know me. Unfortunately, you are right. That's definitely has to be up there in one of my favorite interactions of the pair, of the two. Okay. For tonight's question for this video, what do you think would be the hardest part of flying if you were in bird morph? Would you agree with Jake that landing is one of the most difficult things and that landing is worse than taking off? Yes, no, what do you think would be the most difficult part of flying as a bird? Please comment that. I can speak, I can form sentences, and please, comment below with your answers. Let me know. Also, comment with anything else you noticed about this chapter, the good, the bad, the ugly. Just comment down below. But remember, do not comment any major spoilers. There are some huge twists and turns in this series, and if you're reading it for the first time, you shouldn't be spoiled by certain details. And everywhere I'm God damn, I was starting to edit what I'm going to say next in my mind, and editing doesn't really work the same when you're recording. So let me try that again. If you watch this video and you're like, hey, Animorphs does seem pretty cool. I thought it was just some kids morphing animals and it was going to be lame ass shit. And then it's like, oh, it's actually something cool. Everywhere I post this video, I post a link to where you can buy your very own copy of Animorphs number 11, The Forgotten by K.A. Applegate. And buying via the link I provide, you give money to the actual creators of the series, the people that did the hard work of releasing a book a month. They I don't know why I was doing that. I was like, I have to do a hand motion. Let's do this one. And they do deserve money for that, obviously. Also, it'll send a message to Scholastic that, hey, people are still very much interested in Animorphs. It's still a series that people will buy new stuff of. And since I'm a member of the Amazon Associates program, I'll also get a little money. So you will be paying the creators, giving Scholastic the news that people are still interested in Animorphs, and will help support me because I'm awesome. And I can't smile well. And also, remember to like this video if you like birds. I have 4 birds as pets currently, and the only reason I don't have more is because limited funds and not a big house. If that wasn't the case, I'd have more parakeets, work on getting more cockatiels, maybe get an African gray. Like, I've had someone suggest that an African gray would actually be a good bird for me. They are adorable. All birds are adorable. And also remember to subscribe. I will be reading all of not just Animorphs number 11, but the entire Animorphs series. So, you want to stick around for that. And I hope everyone's having a better Monday than I am. So, and hope that your week turns out well too. And remember, if you're in the US, it is very important that you vote. Make sure that your voice is heard. And remember, even though the presidential election is the big thing going on, stuff like, judges and other things that might seem smaller are still equally important. They are also people that will be placed in positions of power that can, affect how the country is run. So, pay attention to everything on the ballot. Everything on the ballot is equally important. And until next video, goodbye. Forgot that, you click end stream and there's a second end button you have to click. I sort of forgot about that. Yay!